Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Q&A session for August 25th, 2021. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm Mark Dannenberg and Kristen Keen is with me tonight. Erin is away and she's actually getting ready to have her baby in the next few days. So it's kind of exciting for us here at Options Moneymaker and New Cycle Trading. So let's go ahead and get started here. If you've not been with us before, our mantra is learn to trade and then trade to earn. So there's a learning curve that's involved in trading successfully. The people who are most successful with their trading invest some amount of time in going through our education programs or some level of learning, and then trading in a simulation mode, whether you're trading options or whether you're trading futures. There are easy ways to trade in simulation mode, so you're not actually risking real money. And until you get to a point where you're consistently generating profits for yourself in that simulation mode, you really shouldn't shift into live money. So that's been our counsel to people who are really learning how to trade, have a desire to learn how to trade. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be successful with your trading. Learn to trade first, and then after you've invested some time in the learning process, then you can trade to earn. So when we do these Q&A sessions, we're making ourselves available to answer questions that you might have about any type of trading education or any type of program or tool that we offer here, also representing Options Moneymaker and New Cycle Trading. So we have the adaptive entry system. That's what we use primarily for identifying trends. It's an excellent tool for identifying trends. Obviously, there are days in the market that offer huge opportunities for profits, and there are other days in the market that are a bit more challenging. That's just the nature of the market. Live trading room for real-time trading and support. If you want to ask questions, you want to get a clarification on a trade, we are committed to having somebody there to respond to your questions. The Futures Trading Education Program is the opportunity for people to learn the risk and reward of futures. I've heard many people over the years say that they shy away from futures because they're just so risky, and there's a misnomer out there that, well, you can lose all of your money. Well, you can, but those people who are losing in that manner aren't typically the ones who have learned to trade and then trade to earn. You can encounter unusual spots in the market, but it doesn't take much to start an account and to rebuild an account if you hit one of those really unusual, and I'm not talking about every other week, I'm not talking about every month, but really unusual, unexpected, kind of out of nowhere moves in the market. You can have some adverse impacts. But even that, if you're managing your risk effectively in futures trading on a trade by trade basis, you should come through that reasonably well. Personal Trading Plan is a tool that we created to help you really monitor your profit performance. You're going to enter your performance at the end of every day. You're going to record whether you won that day, whether you lost that day, profits and losses, and it's going to help you forecast going forward what your potential income could be based on your personal run rate. Trading is one of those activities. It's a passion or hobby for some people. It is a business and primary source of income for other people. But regardless of what it is, trading is something that you can easily get bogged down in a series of trades in one single day that it just doesn't feel very good. Like, it just feels like it's really sluggish. That's when you take a step back, you take a look at your personal trading plan, you plug in your performance for that day, wherever you are in your day, and you get an idea of what that run rate that you've established for yourself, combination of profits and losses, will project out to over the course of 12 months. And then, of course, one of the very first programs that we developed was our Profit Builder Plus program for options education. So those of you who are interested in trading options, it's an excellent education program. It teaches everything from the very, very basics of options, like what is a strike, what is an expiration, all the way through some of the advanced spread strategies that options traders like to use. Now, one thing about options trading is there's a common denominator between futures trading and options trading, and that is the adaptive entry system. You can use the adaptive entry system for identifying trends for trading futures. You can also use it for identifying trends in trading options. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of that tonight when we start taking a look at some charts. People frequently ask what's coming next, what are we working on? Well, I got to tell you, Kristen and I have been very immersed in the Aurora system. Now, the Aurora system, if you looked at it kind of like an envelope that encompasses AES, but yet it adds other signals that are proving to be very, very strong signals, helps to navigate through some of those choppy periods that we see in the market where it seems like you're entering a trade, closing it for a loss, entering another trade, closing it for a loss. We still have a little bit of that with Aurora, but we've been working on the Aurora system for the past year. And it took us a while to develop a set of rules that we really felt confident in. We did some tracking of that based on those rules, tweaked the rules, and it's just been a little over a month ago that we started to formalize the tracking in a format that is similar to what Aaron has always shown you with the AES tracking. And we are big fans of the Aurora system. I'll let Kristen speak for herself, but we're big fans of the Aurora system and hope that we can introduce that to you folks here in the next several weeks as a opportunity to perhaps spend less time trading and gain greater profits. And then the other big thing that we're still working on, and this is going to be a while, it's going to take us a while to really develop to the point where we're confident in releasing it to our community, but auto trading for futures. So CycleBot, which is what we refer to it as, will most likely be trading the Aurora system. So the first step is making sure that the Aurora system is working consistently well to a point where our trading community would feel comfortable using it, and then adding auto trading CycleBot on top of that to automate the trading for you. And it doesn't mean you necessarily can full-time step away, but we'll get to the point where you should be able to trade 23 hours a day and just let the auto trading work on your behalf. So we're kind of excited about both of those things. There's so many other things that we have on our list of desired intentions of offering opportunities. But right now, our primary focus is on the Aurora system and the CycleBot auto trading. So one of the things that I emphasize every day is I think it's important to update your personal trading plan at the end of the trading day. We do that. We maintain personal trading plans looking at a variety of configurations of AES. And so I'm going to pull that up right now. So these results can be found on our website, optionsmoneymaker.com, AES-results, and you can take a look at them every day. We update them every single day. So this is coming from the detail of every day. We post the trade detail for each day, and you can see trade by trade what the winning trades were, what the losing trades were, how many points of win, how many points of loss. We also measure the drawdown for each trade, meaning, well, how much did it move against you before it moved favorably for you, and then track the cumulative performance. Now, one of the things I think most of you that are here are aware of is we track generally until about 3:30 every day. We say until 4 o'clock, but typically we're not trading until 4 o'clock. So we track till about 3:30, but that doesn't mean that the end of day result is the final number. It is what we have recorded in the database as the full day. Our full day of recording is from 3 a.m. to whenever we stop, which is between generally 3:30 and 4 p.m. We track 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Performance, but we also track some shorter time frames, starting later, like 9:30 to noon, or 8:45 to whenever we hit 20 points. And the thing to remember when you're looking at the trade detail is if you looked at this number, for example, and said, well, 12 points, that doesn't sound like that's very productive. Well, I don't disagree with that. But an hour and a half before that, you were at 40 points. Earlier in the day, there were some situations, some periods where you were down as much as 23 points. So the numbers will change throughout the day, and that's why it's important to understand what method, what configuration of signals you prefer to trade. We track 9:30 to noon because we have a fair number of people who like to limit their trading to a certain number of hours. They don't want to sit in front of their computer all day. And so we track 9:30 to noon, starting with a $5,000 account. Now, in the first 12 months of that tracking, we started with a $5,000 account and it grew to $103,308. That was the first 12 months. We're now 7.5 weeks into our second 12-month period. We've reset to $5,000. We're carrying a maximum of 3 contracts. We are willing to trade a maximum of 3 contracts. And right now, the projection for 12 months based on current performance is $61,449. Now, that's quite a bit less than what we did in the first year. That just tells me that we've gone through a period in the last few weeks where it's just been a little bit more sluggish. It's been a little bit more choppy. That's actually not a surprise since in the last couple of days, we've hit new all-time highs in the market. And there's a period of time when you hit new lows or new highs where the market kind of stalls, bases sideways. You've got some choppy activity. And so it's a little bit more challenging. But still, 5,000 to a projection right now of 61,000, over 61,000, that's a pretty decent number. And that will continue to change as performance either increases or decreases on a day-to-day basis. The other category that we track is 7 to 4. So this is what I was talking about, where somebody wants to trade from 7 to 4 and they want to invest that time. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is, instead of taking all 4 of the adaptive entry system signals that are available, plus fractals, we only trade the trend bias and continuation trade. So it's really tapping into the trend and taking those trades that are trending and then a continuation of those trends. In the first year, first 12 months, we did $138,610, starting with a $5,000 account. Again, we're 7.5 weeks into our second 12-month period, starting again with $5,000. And right now, the 12-month projection from what we've done in the last 7.5 weeks is 82,000. Actually, I misspoke. That 82,000 is a combination of all of last year's averages, including now the more recent 7.5 weeks. So we're not just basing it on 7.5 weeks. So again, it just shows we have a slightly smaller, lower forecast for right now, but it just corresponds to being at near all-time highs and getting into a little bit of a more choppy, less productive pattern. It still doesn't look bad, in my opinion, if you went from 5,000 to 82,000. But we'll see, as the next few months unfold. And then we have something that corresponds directly to the live trading room start open time frame, 8:45. So we track from 8:45 and then till the end of the day, and we are 33.5 weeks into a 52-week plan here. And right now, based on a maximum of 3 contracts, we are seeing that the account is growing from 5,000 to the projection right now is 117,000. So, right now, I don't know where this is going to finish for the 12 months, but right now that looks like a pretty decent number, probably going to be somewhere around 110 to 120,000, assuming that nothing significant changes in terms of the run rate, which once again is a pretty strong testimony to the AES signals, and particularly those timeframes that align with the live trading room. And then the last category that we track is something that Aaron did quite a bit of research on many months ago, and determined that if we targeted a 20-point profit each day, and our loss was limited to no more than 60 points. So if we got to 60 points, we stopped trading. If we get to 20 points or more, we stop trading. 20 points of profit or more, we stop trading. And again, this is corresponding to the start time frame of the live trading room. The first 12 months did $96,671. Now we're only 1.5 weeks into a new 12-month period, and the projection right now is about 94,000. So any one of these methods has a strong projection. Now, your projections might be a little different than ours. You might be more favorable or less favorable than ours. And one of the things that I want to remind you about, and which I mentioned briefly in the detail, is these projections are based on trading through the entire time period. So 9:30 to noon, for example. There are days where at 10:45 we might be up 35, 40 points, and by the end of the day we might be only at 5 points, or like today, only at 12 points. So there are a large number of traders in our community that will just cease trading when they hit their goal. And so performance on the personal trading plan, we show it to represent the entirety of performance throughout the day or throughout the time period. Whereas practically speaking, if my goal for the day was to be at 30 points, I would have been done earlier. I would have been done much earlier in the day. Probably would have stopped when I hit 29.5 points, if that was my goal. If 30 points was my goal, that's close enough for me. So I would have been done at 1 o'clock, whereas by 3:30, I only have 12 points. So today I record 12 points of profit in the 8:45 to, in the 7 to 4 category, whereas somebody else might have recorded 30, 35, 24. So the opportunity to build your business is huge, and our numbers reflect the entirety of the trading activity throughout the day, throughout the time period that we're measuring. And almost always the results can be better than that earlier in the day. So it's important that you update, in my opinion, your personal trading plan. It's important that you keep track of what your performance has been. And I think it's important for you to be able to look forward and see, well, what's the 12-month forecast? If you treat this as a business, much like I recommend, you want to know what your business income is going to be. I have all of my accounts limited to 3 contracts trading AES, but you could increase that to 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever you choose. And there's no additional units of work that are required by you. You're still doing the same amount of work. But if you use the personal trading plan the way it's designed, the number of contracts that you trade will be based on a percentage of the balance of the account. We use 10% of the balance of the account. You can make that 5%. With Aurora, you're going to hear me talk more and more about Aurora even before we fully introduce it. But with Aurora, Krista and I are building a personal trading plan that's based on 5% of the balance. And we have a much larger number of contracts, even trading up to 30 contracts that the personal trading plan will grow us to. But we have a big number that we are looking for out of Aurora. And we're pretty excited about the opportunity to bring that to you when we feel like all parts of the system are ready to release. So that's the importance of updating your personal training plan and where we stand at this point. So I'm ready to take questions. If you have any questions, you have any comments, you have any thoughts about what we teach and what we offer. And while I'm waiting for questions, again, I want to just reinforce that the importance of learn to trade and then trade to earn. There's far too many traders that come to this opportunity and immediately begin to trade to earn first. They fail. And the unfortunate part is I hear from many of them, and there's always a common denominator. They fail, and I can rewind back to they didn't invest the time to learn. They wanted to jump in because they thought it was a quick fix, a quick solution for them making some money. So I want you to really learn to trade and trade to earn. We're here to provide futures trading education and options education. The adaptive entry system, live trading room is available for you to sign into. If you're an AES subscriber, sign in, and we're available to ask questions of. And then, of course, the personal training plan. We built this set of tools so that you could build a successful personal trading business. And you can access more information on those tools at optionsmoneymaker.com/investor2. So while we're looking at questions, I'm going to leave the screen on an AES chart. And let's see here. Rod says, will you be calling out trades for Aurora in the live trading room? So Rod, I haven't fully developed how we're going to roll out Aurora, but more than likely, and you're familiar with the way we've done programs in the past, we will be offering a off market hours, so evening training. I usually do my trainings at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to most likely be a 3 to 4 session training. So that would be a paid subscription to sign up for that. And then you probably get access to Aurora at a discounted price for the first month. And then, although on a long-term basis, we have no intention of calling out signals in the live trading room on a regular basis on Aurora, because we want to teach you how to use it, and we want you to then be independent. But what I'm leaning towards, and I'm not committing to anything, but I'm just providing you kind of a thought process I have, is that we would probably then give you access to the live trading room, where Kristen and I would be trading Aurora, and we would help you identify the Aurora signals for 2 or 3 days to make the transition from training to live trading application. And then, of course, beyond that, we're available in the live trading room to answer questions and help clarify your understanding. We have a small number of people that are in our community that are trading Aurora right now. We've selected some folks who are trading it, helping me understand the best way to teach it for the greatest or the optimum benefit for all of you. And so far they seem to be doing very well. We have regular check-ins with them, and we talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's been helping us to actually create some documentation that's going to be part of the training. Kristen's background and history is all in learning and development. So she's been doing a great job of documenting even the fine-tuning portions of what we need to teach, what we need to say, so that you understand fully how to trade the system. The last thing, let me just share with you. We are transitioning from, well, AES is a good set of signals. I mean, I just showed you the personal trading plan, and every configuration that we've tracked for the past year has been strongly positive, even though we go through some periods that we have some drawdowns. Aurora is like any other thing that is created. It's being designed and created to address some of the things that we would like to improve about AES. And Aurora is a true system. And I'm not going to get into teaching it. I'm not even going to get into explaining it here tonight, but there are new signals that will be part of Aurora. In fact, I'm just going to actually put a chart up here. And again, I'm not going to try to get into teaching it here, but I'm just going to give you a visual. Aurora has some new signals. They're very, very easy to recognize and understand because it's basically a block, a red block or a blue block. And we're going to teach you what to do with those blocks. And there's two different levels of blocks. There are also different time frames that we're using to align the signal and the validation of an entry. So I'm going to give you a few bits and pieces. Again, I'm not trying to get you to adopt Aurora right now. We've got a little bit more work that we need to do. But we are very excited because, as I mentioned, we did a ton of testing. We have all sorts of variations of tracking, and some of the tracking we dismissed. One part that we had originally believed was valid, we eliminated some of those parts, and so then we reset tracking to see what it would look like without those parts. So there have been several different iterations we've gone through in the past 12 months. And literally it's 12 months. It was this week, the last week of August last year, that I started the full testing and development of Aurora. Kristen joined our team in early March, and she immediately got involved in helping to do the research, as well as documenting rules and criteria for being successful. So one of the things that I'm super excited about is in the last month, it's actually 23 days ago, 23 trading days ago, that we felt like we had arrived at a full set of valid rules and criteria. And so we formalized the tracking in the same format that Aaron uses with AES. And we've had one losing day in 23 trading days. And we are only trading from 7 a.m. to 11. We've been doing a lot of research on when is the most productive time to trade, and we're trading from 7 to 11. We've got all sorts of data now steering us away from some other time periods, and getting us honed in on specific timeframes that really will be most productive for us. And like I said, our personal trading plan, just because I have this goal for myself personally, this is all live trading now. This is all live dollar trading, not testing like it was, in the prior 11, 12 months. This is all live dollar trading. And I have a personal trading plan that I'm willing to trade. I'm willing to grow up to trading 30 contracts. And we'll see, that may change, as we continue to grow and develop this this methodology. But I'm looking for I have a specific goal in mind over the next 3 months, and then 6 months, and then 12 months. And 30 contracts and the Aurora system gets me to that goal times 2. So I got a lot of wiggle room in what I'm doing, but I'm really excited about it. And I'm actually looking forward to sharing it with those of you who want to participate. but I'm pretty jazzed about it, and I know Kristen is also. Kristen, you here?
I am here and I am very excited. Big fan.
She's she's just like she's like energy bouncing off the wall every day, trading
Well,
Aurora.
it's
She loves it.
it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
We do actually have a couple of other questions in the room as well. So can I throw a
Okay,
couple
yeah,
at you?
yeah.
All right. First, Kimberly is asking, in this turbulent time, predictions of market crash, do you feel there will be a time when it won't be safe to trade?
No, no. So I'm going to say no abruptly, Kimberly, and then I'm going to answer it this way. If I was trading options, which I'm a big fan of trading options, but if I was trading options, let me get rid of Aurora over here. If I was trading options and I was holding overnight, I would have some cause for concern. If I was trading options, but I was committed to just day trading and closing out by the end of the day, whether my option trade was a winner or loser, I really wouldn't have significant concerns. You're going to have an opportunity to assess what's going on a trade by trade basis. And if you're concerned, you stay out of the way. Where people get caught on the big market downturns, and I've gotten caught in the past. I did to a degree when the market on options, when the market really sold off after the completely unexpected COVID pandemic really came to be a reality. But where people get caught on options trading is when you're trading longer term options. So I've always been a big fan of both day trading, short-term expirations, but I've also been a big fan of, putting an option out there that expires in a month or 6 weeks. And when you're talking about a market crash, if those are long options, that's where you get caught. Now, the other thing is I would not want you to put a big percentage of your portfolio in those long options. Have a little balance. And another strategy that you can use if you're trading options is to use strangles or straddles. When there is a massive move unexpectedly, a strangle or a straddle will be profitable because one side of the strangle or straddle, so a strangle or straddle is constructed by buying to open a call and buying to open a put. So if you have a massive sell-off, the put's going to have huge profit. And just because of the limitation of liability on the call side, being limited to whatever you paid for the call, the profit on the put side will generally outweigh the profit on the call side. Now, when I adjusted my options trading techniques last year, March or so, to strangles and straddles, we did extremely well with the strangles and straddles. We were in fact calling out a lot of those strangles and straddle positions in the live trading room just to kind of help people get through that period. Now, on futures, because the style of trading we do on futures, first of all, we never hold a position overnight. And we're typically trading 5-minute charts, maybe a 15-minute chart. On Aurora, the one part of the Aurora system is a 15-minute chart. But you have certain benchmarks and signals, both on AES and Aurora, that take you out of a trade. First of all, if you're following our criteria, you're never going to lose more than 20 points, which is $400 on a single trade. Well, so if you have an abrupt market crash in the middle of the day, then you're going to lose maybe 400 points on that trade that you're in, possibly. But that's a far cry from saying, I lost everything in a market crash. So I don't expect that we're going to have a significant problem because our primary focus is on futures. and you're going to have some days that you're going to lose. You could have some highly volatile days that you have more losses than what you've had in the past. But that's just part of the game of trading.
And
So
then, oh, go ahead. Sorry,
yeah,
Mark.
well, Kimberly also is asking, are we eliminating what Aaron did
Right.
daily by calling out the live trading? Yes, we are not calling out trade by trade in the live trading room on AES signals anymore. We've been doing that for about a year and a half, and we prefer to provide strong education, which we've created for you. Have you trade in simulation mode, make ourselves available for you to ask questions and look for clarification. Was this a valid signal, or do I see this setup coming? And we'll respond to those questions. But we feel like we've grown, I feel like we've grown past the point where we should need to call out every single signal. It's really on the trader to make use of the education that we have. And we have ongoing education in the live trading room by being available to answer questions. And periodically, Aaron's going to be leaving here in the next few days for a few months. And Kristen and or I will be in the live trading room. And periodically, we will just identify a signal. Say, now here's a great example of a transition from a long consensus to a short momentum or vice versa. So we're not going to be doing play-by-play every single signal from 8:45 to 3:30-ish like we have been, but we will be available to answer questions. Kristen, do you want to just teach Aurora tonight? You want to just do that?
Give you a little bit more prep time.
Yeah,
My lesson plan isn't done yet.
all right, so I don't see any questions right now, but let me talk a little bit about options and using AES. So here's an example. This is the best example I like to show. This works well with most anything you want to trade, but this is Amazon. And what I'm showing you is a 30-minute, a 15-minute, and a 5-minute chart. And the AES signals are here. You know, here's your long momentum, here's your long consensus, here's a continuation signal, etc. When you're trading options and you get familiar with trading a particular stock, it can be a very lucrative opportunity for you. So when I take a look at Amazon, and for example, if I said, I'm just going to take trend bias trades, and I'm going to hold the trend bias trade until I hit a certain profit target. With Amazon, for me, it would be probably between $5 to $10 of profit per trade, which would be $500 to $1,000 on a single contract. You know, it's very, very easy to identify. Here is the entry right here. Here's the trend bias entry. And it moved against you a little bit, but this is an option. I'm not, although I want to be out of it by the end of the day, typically, I don't want to trade same day expiration. I don't want to fight against time decay during the day, but I might have a week to expiration. So this Amazon option opened, this bar opened when Amazon was trading at 32.93. And let's see, it got down to a low of 32.86, so 7 points. That's probably not going to hit the profit target that I want, but it would be profitable, you know, $3 or $4 of profit. When we introduce Aurora to you, you're going to find that that was the trend bias entry, but here or possibly here was the Aurora entry. So if you take the Aurora entry at 9:45 this morning, it opened at 33.10, and on the next bar it was at 32.90. So you got 20 points using a 50 delta. That's a $10 profit right there. So one of the things about Aurora is it's going to, in many cases, give you an earlier good entry into the trade. So you can use 30-minute charts. You can use 15-minute charts. Here's another great example right here at 10 o'clock on the 23rd. That was 2 days ago. 10 o'clock on the 23rd, there's a signal to go long, just based on a simple trend bias entry, AES trend bias. And you're in at 40, I'm gonna round off. You're in at 43, maybe you had a little slippage. It goes up to 81. So if it moves 20 points, if you're trading an at the money option, you're going to have about half of the movement as profit. So once it hits 20, you got about 10 points of profit, which is about $1,000. And then you have another entry. Well, that'd be an Aurora entry. So anyway, the options work extremely well. The other thing that works very well, if any of you are trading in cryptocurrency, these same signals, it's going to be true with Aurora and it's true with AES, these same signals can be used to trade cryptocurrency. So if you're looking for a way to identify, well, when should I get in? Well, on a 15-minute chart at 10:30 this morning, it was telling you to buy Bitcoin. It was at 47,973 at that time. And it ended up at the last point where you should be out of it. It was at 48,931. So the common denominator for every type of trading is AES. It's the chart. It's your technical market metrics. And then it doesn't matter what you want to trade. If you want to trade options on stocks, you want to trade options on ETFs, you want to trade cryptocurrency, it doesn't matter. You've got a common denominator called AES, and in the not too distant future, you'll have Aurora, which will allow you to take even stronger positions.
Mark, just a quick comment from Stan, and I think it's something that we've, talked about, even possibility. He said that when he first started, he found the trade callouts very helpful, especially when first starting, suggesting consider doing trade by trade callouts, say for 2 hours per day for newcomers, rather than simply dropping them entirely. So I know those are different options that we've talked about, and possibilities on what might be the future of the live trading room.
So one thing about that, Stan, is first of all, we're never dropping anybody entirely. We're not dropping anybody. We're making ourselves available in the live trading room, and there will be trades that are called out as examples. Here's a good example of a setup for a trend bias. Here's a good example of how to anticipate that you have a possible consensus signal, but it's not necessary to call every single trade out. We're going to continue to provide ongoing education and support in the live trading room, but it's I don't believe that with the people who are adapting to AES that it's necessary to call out every single signal. There will be periods of time during the day that we're going to be doing that.
And just clarification, I'm thinking Rob might be referring to the Aurora system. He's asking, in your opinion, how long would it take to get up to speed to learn the system?
Well, if you're Kristen, much longer, much longer.
Because you have to discipline Mark all day.
Touche. There you go. I believe that. Well, first of all, I know that when we provide this training for Aurora, that it's going to be very comprehensive training. We already have comprehensive training for AES, Rob, but it's going to be very deep comprehensive. Kristen's an expert in creating good training flow and documentation. Then if you trade the system, whether you decide to trade AES signals or whether you decide to trade Aurora, and there are different parts to Aurora, and you'll understand that when we take you through the training. I think a reasonable investment of a month of your time trading in sim will build your muscle memory and will help you feel confident in how to trade the system properly. The folks that we currently have, we found that to be the case. The small number of people that we have you're working with the Aurora system right now, it was about a month for them to kind of get their trading legs and orientation to signals, feeling comfortable with them. And of course, an important part of that will be, we will do signal by signal call out in support of the initial training, and then be available in the live trading room to help you understand that. But I'd say about a month of sim trading. And if you're not comfortable at that point, you don't switch to real money. You continue to sim trade until you really kind of nail your own confidence level. Yeah.
What was it for AES? What was the length of time usually the recommendation for learning AES?
Yeah, it was about a month. If you invest the time in going through the signals, pick a time frame during the day that you want to trade. Immerse yourself. Don't allow any other distractions. Don't have your email open. Don't have anything else open. Tell the dogs to wait to go outside. During that time period, immerse yourself in it and go through every single signal. Now, if you're trading AES, one of the things that we do is we post the detail, the trade by trade detail every day. So you can go back and you track your trades. You can go back and look at every single trade that we recorded. And if you don't understand why you took a trade and we didn't, or vice versa, you can pose a question to us and we'll help you understand that trade, that transition. So it requires some commitment of time. If you want to turn this into a full-time income for yourself, you want to turn this into a business for yourself, it requires an investment of time. And some of the time is doing the trades based on the training that you've been provided, and then doing some research based on the tracking that we provide and share with you every day. So Rob's following up and saying they look like similar systems, but they're very different. There are some key differences to the Aurora and AES systems. AES is actually embedded within Aurora, and you can continue to trade those, still by looking at the Aurora setup. These two indicators right here are the new indicators within the Aurora system. And then there's also an alignment that we're looking for between different time frames, and you'll understand more about that when we take you through the training. But it's a little bit more involved. Aurora is a little bit more involved in terms of being able to align to a trade, an entry. It's a little bit more involved than AES. And sometimes your biggest challenge is going to be patience and waiting for the signal, but it's going to pay off. Our research is showing, let's just see here. Today was actually one of our weakest days that we've had. Again, 23 days that we've been tracking. We've had one losing day. But our average trading from 7 to 11 is about $1,200 a day. So we're pretty jazzed about that.
I would say one of the key differences I've found, having traded AES for a while and really getting into Aurora, is the education around managing the trade when you're in it. It's a little bit different than how you enter a trade, lock in 5 or let it go to 10, which you're used to in AES. So I think that's where some of the greatest education will come from.
Yeah, and one of the one of the gentlemen in our community who is actually working with Aurora right now um, just confirmed what I'm saying. Thinks that 1 to 2 months in sim is more than enough, and reinforcing also that we, myself and Kristen, should also provide some trade by trade live trading education experience as a supplement to the offline education. And we intend to do that. We fully intend to do that. I'm just not sure how long that trade by trade will be.
Mark and Fergal, is the clarification, I think, on what you just showed, the $1,200 a day futures or options?
Yeah, that's NASDAQ 100 futures. So that's about 60 points a day is the average. Yeah, Rob, AES is never going away. AES is foundation of what we've been doing. And what we're doing now is we're looking for ways to enhance AES and incorporate it into a system-wide structure. So you can see here, we've got AES signals, but then the Aurora signals are here, and you're going to learn when we roll out Aurora how to interpret an AES signal versus an Aurora signal, because you already know AES. If you already know AES, then you're going to find that there are Aurora signals that will either give you greater confidence in taking that AES signal, or vice versa. You may just focus on the Aurora signals, and you'll notice the AES is lined up in some cases with the Aurora signal. But you know, I'm telling you, at 1,247, 66 points a day average, and that's trading from 7 to 11. That's a 4-hour window of time. Now, 7 might not be appealing if you live on the West Coast, but you know, I personally would go for when the system is really producing. And one of the things that I also like, Erin actually made this observation. She built this feature into our spreadsheets called the maximum drawdown. So at any point during the day, well, what was your maximum loss if you stopped at that point? And it's, you know, not uncommon to have a drawdown during the day. But what we're finding with Aurora more and more is that our maximum drawdown, maximum potential loss, is a positive number on several days. So it means that we actually never had a negative drawdown on those days. There are other days where we have some sizable drawdowns. What's our biggest drawdown we've had so far? $790, I think. Scanning that real quickly. So anyway, that's what we hope to have available in the next several weeks.
So Mark, would you say AES training is required before going to the next futures program into the Aurora system?
I don't believe AES is required to trade Aurora. We have one gentleman who is using Aurora, and he's very well versed in AES, and so he's blending the two methodologies, and he's taking Aurora system trades and he's taking AES trades, and he's done very well with that. When he was trading in sim, just kind of learning his way through how to incorporate those signals of both, he was doing very well with that. So but the way Aurora is designed, AES is not a prerequisite. Would you agree with that, Kristen?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if you have the knowledge, it's just gonna speed up your learning.
Yeah. Yeah, Stan, it's too early to answer that question. Well, we're just thinking right now about when would we be at a point where we would be comfortable offering this. I'm not interested in offering Aurora if I don't have full confidence in the system. And so once we get to that point, we'll figure out, what it looks like in terms of, pricing. I don't know yet. Well, Rod, you can start trading any system with any amount of capital that you want. We have a PTP. We have a PTP that we're doing some research. The system itself, if you trade it from 7 to 4, starting with $10,000, our average winning day is 85 points, just over 85 points. We're doing some research where we're pulling that back to 7 to 11, and the average winning day is 66, just over 66 points. Again, you can start with $5,000. It doesn't matter. It's going to really matter more about how much you're comfortable putting into the account. But if you notice on all of our AES PTPs, personal trading plans, we use a 10% value where we're allocating 10% of the balance of the account towards contract margin requirements. I've lowered that to 5 because I'm also willing to grow to a maximum of 30 contracts. So $10,000 is where we're starting. I'm changing it to 5,000, or sorry, 5%. And again, this is still in some level of research mode, but I'm willing to trade possibly up to a maximum of 30 contracts.
Rob, I think you can do the sim trading on Aurora any time of day, especially for the practice. I have found that because we use the multiple time frames, it does require a more invested commitment to watching signals for a set time period. It's versus watching it for 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there. But you can watch it anytime. You can do the sim trading any time of day. The signals will always fire, and you can always practice any time of day.
Jack is asking what signals are included in the $1,200 a day. That's the Aurora system, Jack. And I don't want to get into it too much here because we're not ready to roll it out. But the Aurora system is comprised really of 2 primary things. It's a blending of multiple time frames, could be 2 time frames or up to 3 time frames. I'm showing a 15-minute, a 5-minute, and 3-minute chart. So that's number 1. It's time frame alignment. And number 2 is this block of indicators, red and blue. We've made it very, very ultra simple. And then this block down here. So they each have their own purpose. And the $1,200 a day, excuse me, 7 to 11, is based simply on those blocks, those signals right there. Just one. Rob's asking how many contracts for $1,200 a day. That number is based on 1 contract. When we record in our tracking spreadsheet, we record based on 1 contract. It's in the personal trading plan that we can scale contracts if we choose to. Okay, folks, I don't see any other thoughts or questions. Oh, I spoke too soon. Yeah, that's something that we can address, Michael. I haven't found that to be the case personally, Michael.
Neither have I, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't found that to be the case, but we'll keep that in mind. Appreciate it. Michael's one of the gentlemen who is working with the system, the Aurora system now. Yeah, we're not ready to offer it yet, Rob. I don't have a specific time frame, but Kristen and I are trading it every day. And when I feel like we have the live trading tracking all nailed, and it, we've got the training criteria all determined, then we would make an offer. I say a few weeks. I don't really know specifically when that'll happen.
The AES alerts, Lee, the AES alerts on the alerts log that are going to be displayed in the live trading room will be the same as Aaron calls out. So you'll see the exact same thing that you've always seen, if that's what you're referring to.
All right, folks, I appreciate all of
You're
you
welcome.
being here. I appreciate your interest in learning how to trade effectively, whether it's futures or options. If you are interested in learning more, you need a reminder about the programs that we offer, you can go to this link here, optionsmoneymaker.com/investor2, and you can learn more about each part of what we're offering. We don't build a lot of programs. What we try to do is to build solid programs that we believe are going to help our community build their business and earn the type of money that they desire to make. When we do roll out something new, a new program, it's only after we have tested and vetted it and traded it ourselves and challenged ourselves over a fairly extended period of time. So that's the mode we're in right now with Aurora. The other thing I will say is most of you know that we are working on CycleBot, which is our automated trading. Aurora is likely going to be the basis for CycleBot taking trades. So we're hoping to have that at some point in the future also. But we would start with rolling out Aurora, and those of you who choose to adopt Aurora into your own tool set will get really familiar with it. And then it would be folks that have the Aurora system that would have first access to CycleBot when we're ready to roll that out. We don't have any time frame yet on the Aurora system. Takes some investment of time, takes an investment of money to build everything that we're doing. So it just needs to be at the right time. And starting next week, Kristen and/or I will be in the live trading room answering questions and periodically, helping you to identify a trade, just as an example. But feel free to ask us questions. Erin will be away starting next week for several weeks, and she'll be welcoming a new baby into her family. So we're all pretty excited about that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the room. Kristen, thanks for being here. Always appreciate you.
I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.